It's 2 in the morning. The power's been out for 12 hours. Your phone's dead, the house is dropping below 50 degrees, and outside, total silence. No hum of traffic, no lights for miles. Just you, the dark, and that uneasy thought. How long before things stop working altogether? I'm David, and I've been prepping since a decade. And let me tell you, the hardest lesson I ever learned, it's not about how much gear you own. It's how fast that gear becomes useless when you can't replace the basics. Here's the brutal truth most people don't want to hear. When the grid fails, fancy gadgets fail with it. Batteries die, fuel runs out, and the people who survive longest aren't the ones with solar panels or 300 cans of beans. It's the ones who understand systems that never needed power in the first place. Look back at the Texas freeze in 2021. Whole neighborhoods paralyzed, gas pumps dead, stores closed, and families melting snow just to flush toilets. Meanwhile, Amish communities, warm stoves, hot meals, calm nights. No panic, just quiet confidence. Today, I'm sharing 9 timeless Amish survival tricks that keep families warm, fed, and functional during blackouts without spending thousands of dollars on tech. And number 7 will shock you, because it cooks a full meal without using a single drop of fuel. Why does this matter right now? Because blackouts in the U.S. jumped 17% in 2024. Fuel costs are climbing, and the next outage isn't a matter of if, it's when. Learn these now, and you won't just survive the dark. You'll stay calm, save money, and keep life going, while everyone else scrambles for batteries. Item 1. Wood coal-burning stoves. Look, when the lights go out and the house starts freezing, most people panic. They grab flashlights, crank up a dying space heater, or pray the grid comes back. But there's one old-school system that just keeps going: a wood or coal-burning stove. The Amish have used them for generations, not just for warmth, but to cook, boil water, and dry clothes, all without a single watt of electricity. That's real self-sufficiency. Now you might be thinking, aren't those expensive? Here's the surprise. They're not. A solid used stove can cost under $200, and even a brand new small model runs between $400 and $1,200 depending on size and EPA rating. Compare that to a generator that burns fuel like crazy. This thing pays for itself the first long outage you face. During the 2021 Texas freeze, families were stuck in 40-degree homes while pipes burst and heaters died. Meanwhile, folks with a simple wood stove, they were warm, cooking stew, and even sterilizing water right on top of it. And here's where it gets really interesting. The thermal mass in those cast iron stoves stores heat for hours, even after the fire burns down. You can simmer a kettle, humidify the air, and stay cozy till morning. Just don't make one critical mistake. Never run an unvented stove indoors. Always keep your chimney clean and properly vented. Safety first, always. Want a quick pro tip? Keep a small cast iron kettle on top. It adds humidity to the room and gives you ready-to-boil water anytime. And if you're tight on budget, use a small stove insert or even a cast iron pot over your fireplace. Not fancy, but effective. Because when the power's gone and the cold sets in, real heat doesn't come from the grid. It comes from preparation. Item 2. Oil lamps and lanterns. Picture this. The grid's down, it's pitch black, and your phone flashlight barely cuts through the dark. You stumble through your house, batteries dying, LEDs flickering. That uneasy feeling? It's not just darkness, it's dependence. Now here's what most people overlook. Oil lamps and lanterns still work when everything else doesn't. They're one of the oldest, most reliable light sources on the planet, and the Amish still use them daily for one reason. They never fail. I'm not talking about some antique decoration. I mean real, functional kerosene or lamp oil lanterns that can run for 20 hours straight on a single fill. No charging, no lithium batteries, no fragile bulbs. Just steady, warm light, the kind that fills a room instead of stabbing your eyes like LEDs. You can find used ones for under $25, and even brand new high-quality hurricane lanterns are around $40 to $60. Compare that to a rechargeable lantern that quit after one storm. It's a no-brainer. During Hurricane Ian in 2022, thousands lost power for days. Flashlights ran out, but oil lanterns, they lit kitchens, bedrooms, and even workshops. Constant glow, no cords, no panic. Here's the thing, oil lamps don't just give light, they give morale. That soft flicker changes how a room feels. It calms you. It reminds you you're in control. Want to make it safer and smarter? Use odorless paraffin oil instead of kerosene. Burns cleaner and stores for years. Keep a few extra wicks sealed in a zip bag and you're set. Pro tip? Add a mirror or aluminum sheet behind your lamp. It doubles your light output instantly. Priceless during blackouts. Because when the world goes dark again, those who planned ahead won't panic. They'll just strike a match and carry on. Item 3. Gravity-fed water systems. Imagine this. The grid's down, the taps go dry, and your fancy smart filter sits useless on the counter. You twist the handle. Nothing. No pressure. No sound. Just silence. That's when it hits you. Water stops fast when power stops. Here's the brutal truth. Without electricity, municipal pumps and pressure systems shut down within hours, and most people don't realize just how fragile that system is until they're hauling buckets from a frozen creek. That's why the Amish and longtime preppers still rely on gravity-fed water systems. No motors, no cords, no fancy wiring, just physics. Water stored above your sink, shower, or house flows downhill through a simple hose or pipe, powered by gravity itself. I've seen setups where a single 55-gallon drum in a loft provides steady flow for washing, cooking, even basic hygiene. It's silent, foolproof, and timeless. The Amish use elevated cisterns and rooftop barrels for the same reason, because gravity never fails. Now here's where it gets interesting. You can build one of these systems for under $150 using off-the-shelf parts, a food-grade barrel, hose, and spigot. No electricity, no pump to burn out, and if you pair it with a ceramic gravity filter like a Berkey or Dalton unit, you get continuous clean drinking water even when the grid's down for weeks. During the Flint water crisis in 2016, families that had simple gravity filters and stored rainwater stayed hydrated while others lined up for bottled water. That's not luck, that's preparation. Now don't make the classic mistake of storing water in the wrong containers. Avoid thin plastic, it leaches chemicals over time. Go for thick, BPA-free food-grade barrels or glass carboys. And always rotate your stored water every 6 to 12 months. Pro tip? Elevate your water tank at least 4 feet off the ground. That gives you enough pressure for a sink or gravity shower. Pair it with a spigot and short hose, and you've got a running water system. No power required. Because when the grid goes down, you'll realize something powerful. Real security doesn't come from technology. It comes from systems that don't need saving. Item 4. Hand tools and non-electric appliances. Picture this. A storm knocks out the grid. Power lines snap. You walk into your kitchen, grab your dead electric can opener, and realize it's just a chunk of metal now. The fridge? Silent. The drill? Useless. Suddenly, you start noticing how much of your life depends on something plugged into a wall. Here's the brutal truth. Electric convenience has made most people helpless. We've forgotten how to fix, cut, grind, and build without power tools. But the Amish never stopped. They use hand tools and non-electric appliances every day, and not because they're old-fashioned, but because they're future-proof. Think about it. A good hand-crank brain mill can turn wheat into flour forever. No cord, no outlet, no problem. A hand-crank egg beater whips batter faster than most cheap mixers. A handsaw, brace drill, or push mower, they'll still be running long after your lithium batteries die. Now here's where it gets smart. You don't need to buy antique tools or spend a fortune. You can find these all over the used market: estate sales, Amish auctions, and local classifieds. A working hand drill costs maybe $20 to $30. A hand crank blender or coffee grinder around $40 to $60. That's less than one trip to the grocery store. During the 2013 ice storms in Michigan, entire towns lost power for nearly a week. Electric stoves, washers, and tools all stopped. But the few folks who had hand-crank blenders, manual wringers, and off-grid cookware, they kept right on going, grinding grain, washing clothes, even sawing firewood by hand. Slow, maybe, but steady. And steady wins every time when the world stops moving. Here's the thing. Hand tools don't break the way electronics do. No circuits, no batteries to die, just raw mechanical reliability. You maintain them once, and they last decades. Pro tip: store your critical tools together. A small manual toolbox with your can opener, egg beater, saw, and grain mill. Add a little linseed oil to prevent rust, and you're golden. Because when the power grid goes silent, your greatest advantage won't be a generator. It'll be your ability to keep working without one. Real independence isn't about having power. It's about needing less of it. Item 5. Oil lamps and kerosene lanterns. Imagine the grid just went down. It's pitch black. You reach for your flashlight, dead batteries. Your phone light, useless after 8 hours of checking updates. Now it's just darkness pressing in on you. But then, a soft glow fills the room. Warm, steady, comforting. That's the power of an oil lamp, a piece of old-world tech the Amish still trust every single night. Here's the brutal truth. Light is more than visibility. It's survival. When people lose light, panic sets in. Morale collapses. But the Amish? They've mastered calm illumination through simple non-electric lamps that work no matter what's happening outside. Look, LED lanterns are great until you run out of batteries or the solar cells stop charging after 3 cloudy days. But a kerosene or lamp oil lantern? It'll keep burning as long as you've got fuel and wick. No charging, no circuit boards, no worries. Recent prices as of 2025, a basic glass oil lamp runs around $15 to $25, and higher quality metal lanterns like the Dietz No. 80 Blizzard sit between $40 and $60. Lamp oil averages $10 per liter, and a single fill can burn up to 20 hours. That's an entire night, multiple times over from a single bottle. During the 2022 New England blizzard, towns lost power for 5 days straight. Families using LED lanterns scrambled to recharge from generators, which quickly ran out of fuel. Meanwhile, one Amish family in Ohio reportedly kept every room lit using 5 small oil lamps, each burning steadily with no noise, no smoke, no panic. Now there's a reason these work so well. They don't just produce light. They radiate heat. Not enough to warm a room, but enough to keep hands from freezing. And here's a little-known tip. Add a mirror or foil behind your lamp. It doubles the brightness instantly by reflecting light back into the room. Pro tip: store extra wicks and fuel in sealed containers. Rotate your oil every year. And never burn gasoline or diesel. Stick to clean lamp oil or kerosene. Because when darkness falls and batteries die, real light doesn't come from technology. It comes from timeless simplicity. The Amish never panic during blackouts. They just light another lamp. Item 6. Gravity-fed water systems. Picture this. The power's been out for 3 days. You twist your faucet, nothing, not a drop. That hollow silence when the pipes run dry, that's when it hits you. Without electricity, modern plumbing stops. Every pump, filter, and faucet depends on power. But the Amish, their water still flows. Here's the brutal truth. Most people's water plans collapse the second the grid does. They rely on electric well pumps, electric filters, and pressure systems that die instantly in a blackout. But the Amish farms keep running thanks to one genius concept: gravity-fed water systems. Imagine a simple setup: a storage tank or elevated cistern up high, and a pipe that runs downward. No power, no moving parts, just gravity doing all the work. The Amish use this to feed water into sinks, barns, and even showers. It's quiet, free, and nearly indestructible. Recent data from 2024 shows that gravity-fed systems have exploded in popularity among off-gridders. Small-scale setups cost as little as $80 to $120 for a 55-gallon drum and basic piping, while larger setups, like the Amish use, might run $400 to $700 with a food-grade tank, shutoff valve, and filter attachment. That's it. Once built, you can forget about electric pumps forever. During the 2023 Texas grid outage, thousands of wells shut down within hours. But one rural community in Holmes County, Ohio, kept livestock and gardens running smoothly, all powered by gravity and common sense. No noise, no maintenance, no dependency. Now here's where it gets really interesting. You can build your own system without fancy tools. Place a tank on a sturdy platform, even as low as 6 feet high. Use simple PVC pipe, add a faucet, and you've got steady pressure for washing, flushing, or even drip irrigation. Pro tip: line your tank with food-grade sealant and paint it dark to prevent algae. If you live in cold areas, bury part of the system or insulate exposed lines. Here's the thing: water security isn't just about storage, it's about flow without failure. The Amish figured that out generations ago. So, while the rest of the world is fighting over bottled water, you will be filling your kettle, quietly, confidently, gravity-fed. That's not luck, that's foresight. So, item 7, root cellars and underground food storage. Imagine walking down a dirt path behind an Amish farmhouse in mid-January. Snow crunches under your boots, the fields are frozen solid, and the wind stings your face. But then, a heavy wooden door creaks open, and a wave of cool, earthy air hits you. Inside, baskets of potatoes, shelves of canned peaches, jars of pickles and crocks of butter, perfectly preserved. No refrigerator, no electricity, just nature's own freezer. That's the secret power of root cellars and underground storage, a centuries-old system the Amish still rely on because it works when everything else fails. Here's the brutal truth: when blackouts drag on for days, modern refrigeration becomes your biggest weakness. Freezers thaw, food spoils, and those hundreds of dollars in groceries, gone in 48 hours. But the Amish? They've never worried about that. They store food the old way, below ground, where the earth maintains a stable temperature of 50 to 55 degrees Fahrenheit year-round. Now, you don't need a giant stone bunker to pull this off. A basic root cellar can be built using a hillside, cinder blocks, or even an old shipping container buried partway underground. According to Homestead Advisor's 2024 data, the average DIY setup costs between $300 and $800, depending on materials. And once it's done, zero energy costs, forever. During the 2023 summer blackouts in Missouri, one family reported losing nearly $1,200 worth of frozen meat, while their Amish neighbors just opened their cellars and pulled out shelf-stable jars from last fall's harvest. That's not luck. That's systemic resilience. Here's where it gets interesting. Root cellars don't just store food, they extend harvest seasons. You can stash apples, carrots, beets, and onions for months without spoilage. Want a quick humidity hack? Place pans of water or damp sand on the floor. It keeps produce crisp. Pro tip: if you're short on space, convert a basement corner or storm shelter into a mini root cellar. Add simple ventilation, one intake near the floor and one exhaust near the ceiling to keep air circulating. And here's the thing most people overlook. This isn't about nostalgia, it's about control. When the power grid's fragile and prices climb every month, An underground pantry means you're no longer at the mercy of delivery trucks or failing refrigerators. While the world panics over spoiled food, you'll be underground, calm, prepared, and surrounded by abundance. Because survival isn't about fear. It's about systems that never stop working. And the Amish, they've been proving that for generations. Item 8. Mason jars and home canning. Picture this. The power grid's down. Banks are closed. ATMs empty.
You've got cash, but it's useless because no one wants paper. They want things that work. Food, firewood, medicine, batteries. Now imagine you walk into an Amish community during that same crisis. No panic, no shouting, just quiet exchange. A sack of potatoes for a jar of honey. A hand-carved stool for a quart of kerosene. Order, not chaos. That's because the Amish never stopped doing something the rest of us forgot. Bartering. Here's the brutal truth. Money only works when systems do. The minute supply chains freeze or inflation spikes, your dollars lose meaning. But the Amish? Their entire economy runs on trust, reputation, and mutual exchange. One man mills lumber, another bakes bread, another repairs wagons, and everyone contributes to a network that functions without banks, without apps, without panic. Look, prepping isn't just about what you store, it's about who you know. Because in any long-term crisis, your most valuable resource won't be gold or ammo, it'll be relationships. According to Off-Grid Economics Report 2024, rural barter networks across North America have grown 43% since 2020, and Amish trade circles remain the most stable form of decentralized exchange. They've been doing it this way since the 1800s. During the 2023 Pennsylvania fuel shortage, while towns waited days for deliveries, Amish workshops stayed open by swapping grain and milk for diesel fuel from neighboring farms. No credit cards, no cash, just trade. Now here's what makes this powerful. Bartering doesn't require you to live off-grid or own land. You can start small, right where you are. Trade your skills, not just stuff. Maybe you know how to repair generators, bake bread, or reload ammo. Someone else has honey, herbs, or solar lights. Build a local network now, and you'll never face scarcity alone. Pro tip: keep a small barter pack, items universally valuable during disruptions. Think batteries, candles, matches, antibiotics, salt, coffee, and soap. All lightweight, non-perishable, and priceless when shelves go empty. The Amish know this well. Their communities always maintain stockpiles of trade goods that serve double duty, daily use, and emergency exchange. Want to know the crazy part? Bartering isn't just economic, it's psychological. It builds community resilience. It replaces fear with cooperation. When people trade, they talk. When they talk, they trust. And that's how civilization stays intact even when systems fail. So here's the takeaway. If your plan only includes supplies, it's half a plan. Supplies can be stolen. Money can lose value. But a network, that lasts. Because when the next blackout, shortage, or cyber attack hits, it won't be the richest who thrive. It'll be the connected. The Amish already lived this way, quietly exchanging what matters, proving that the strongest currency isn't paper or gold. It's trust, skill, and community. And that's something no crisis can take from you. Let's take it a step further. You've stocked up, you've built your pantry, you've got light, heat, and food covered. But here's where the real preppers separate from the rest. Resilience through redundancy. Because survival isn't just about having backups. It's about layering systems so when one fails, another quietly takes over. Hybrid redundancy, the triple system that never fails. Picture this. Your power's out for 3 days. The flashlight's dying. The freezer's thawing. You've got wood for heat, but your phone's dead and you can't reach anyone. Now imagine instead you've set up hybrid redundancy. A small solar lantern powers your comms and lights at night. A hay box cooker, yes, just like the Amish use, keeps your stew warm for hours without burning fuel. And a wood stove heats your space and boils water when all else fails. 3 systems, 3 layers. Solar for critical power, haybox for passive cooking, wood for long-term heat. This is called multi-layer resilience, a setup where every piece of your survival plan supports another. You're not relying on one fragile lifeline, you're creating a web of stability. And here's the secret, it's not expensive. A decent solar lantern costs $20 to $30, a haybox can be built from an old cooler and some blankets, and a wood stove can often be found under $150 if you watch local listings. In a world where grids fail, prices swing, and supplies vanish, hybrid redundancy gives you something priceless: peace of mind. Preservation rotation, the Amish secret to endless food stability. Now let's talk food. You already know about canning and dry goods, but here's how you take it next level: preservation rotation. The Amish don't rely on a single method. They combine 3. Root cellars for cool natural storage of potatoes, carrots, and apples, canning for soups, meats, and sauces that last years, and curing and dehydration for meats, herbs, and fruits. When you rotate between these methods, you slash your dependence on refrigeration, which is usually the first thing to die in a blackout. Think of it like this: root cellar handles the cold storage, canning locks in calories, curing locks in flavor and protein. Together, it's a food preservation triangle: stable, scalable, and sustainable. That's why even after storms or power cuts, Amish pantries never empty. They've built an ecosystem of preservation, a cycle that feeds itself. What not to do, the pitfalls that break most preppers. Here's where most people mess up. They put all their value into fuel-based systems. Propane heaters, gas generators, diesel stoves. They work great until the fuel runs dry. And here's the brutal truth: in any prolonged grid-down scenario, fuel becomes currency. It disappears first. It gets hoarded, rationed, stolen. The Amish never built their resilience on fuel. They built it on renewables and reusables: sun, wood, and human labor, systems that regenerate themselves. So if you're serious about long-term survival, use fuel as a bridge, not a foundation, a backup, not a dependency. The goal isn't to just survive one storm, it's to live through many without panic, without loss, and without needing permission from anyone. Hybrid redundancy keeps your systems alive. Preservation rotation keeps your food secure, and avoiding fuel dependence keeps you truly independent. That's the future of prepping. Not fear-based stockpiling, but smart, renewable resilience built one layer at a time. Because the truth is, the world might change overnight, but if you build like the Amish, slow, steady, sustainable, you'll stand strong no matter what happens next. So here's the bottom line. Everything we've talked about, from wood stoves and haybox cookers to solar lanterns, barter items, and hybrid redundancy, it all points to one thing: resilience. Not fear, not panic, just quiet, systematic self-reliance, the kind that keeps you calm when everyone else is scrambling. Look, most people still believe the government will fix it, or that the grid always comes back. But we've seen what happens when it doesn't. In 2025, supply chains are fragile, prices swing like crazy, and outages last longer than ever. That's why the smartest preppers, the ones who actually thrive, aren't waiting for anyone. They're building systems that work even when everything else stops. And if there's one takeaway you remember from this video, let it be this: don't rely on hope, build capacity. Every small step counts. One used stove, one solar light, one batch of canned food. They add up. Because when the lights go out and the noise fades, what's left is you, your skills, your mindset, and the tools you've put in place. Now I want to hear from you. Which of these strategies are you already using, and which one are you adding next? Drop your answer in the comments with hashtag AmishStrong, and I'll pin the most practical tip for the community. And if you found value here, don't just scroll past. Hit that like button so this video reaches more people trying to prepare smart, not scared. Make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications, because in the next video, we're breaking down 5 dirt-cheap barter items that could be worth their weight in silver when the next shutdown hits. Remember, prepping isn't about fear. It's about freedom. Stay alert, stay resourceful, and as always, prepare, protect, and prosper.